1 is in the books. That means we can act like we've got everything figured out. Time to start the show and call out those point chasers. That stuff. And honestly, some of the new designs. The black and the Saints.
I've officially given up on Facing Hill. I'm sorry.
What's up? Welcome to the Chuck and Dave pod.
I'm Chuck.
I'm Dave.
This is the pod.
And I forgot what I was supposed to say in the beginning. Just blanked it. I'm like, wait, does Chuck go first or do I? Or what do I say?
Still getting the wheels greased here.
Yeah, sorry. We're still at the old intro. Working it out. Almost there.
That's all right. You know, I got a promise from Sam that he was going to be viewing tonight.
Really?
Yeah, he said that he was going to be watching. He said he was looking forward to it. So we'll see.
We'll see.
He also, I asked him, I said, I have questions about airplanes. And he said, shoot. So I asked him the question and then he did not respond for over 24 hours.
Seriously? That's hilarious, actually.
Anyway, 1 week down, 13 to go.
I know.
In the regular season.
Yeah.
And the real fun starts. The hunt for the number 1 seed is on. I thought we had some big surprises in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not necessarily matchup surprises, but certainly player results.
Yeah, I would agree. There was one game that was a little closer than I was a little comfortable with.
Yeah, I was shocked a little bit at how tight that was. It did make Monday night more exciting.
It did.
For those not involved.
I was sweating a little bit, but
it sure didn't look good for you for a little. I thought I guess we'll get to that later, but I thought maybe it was going to swing the wrong way, but you were good to keep an eye on your team and know when McCaffrey was gone.
That was very stressful. I was like, it was already close. We can get to it. We can get to it when we get to the matchups, but
yeah, we can get to it. Well, I'll start with a generic kind of thing here. We had 4 teams top 130 points this week, and a 5th team scored 129.96, which is essentially also 130. And I was like, my goodness, when was the last time that many teams have topped 130? Do you have a guess?
Well, I can't go. I'm assuming I can't go too far back just because the team we have been getting like higher and higher points lately. My guess is 2022 in October.
You're correct that it did not. It did happen in 2022. We didn't have it ever happen in 2023 at all. It happened in week 8. So that's pretty close to October. Probably.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Very, very close. It was the Polecats, the Hurricanes. We all love the Hurricanes. Embrace the Suck and the Bulldogs each did it. And then I was like, well, since essentially Jordan also scored 130. 1987, yes. The fantasy scoring was through the roof that year. It was a terrific year, wasn't it? All the scams.
Well, it was ballooned because of the invention of the West Coast offense.
That's true. It started right there. I do believe at that point they were given 3 points per yard kicked. So the kickers were just like insane. That one. Anyway, so I went back and I was like, when was the last time that 5 teams have scored 130? And that would take you back to week 5 of 2021 when Embrace the Suck, the Ninnies, Suck Stops Here, the Hurricanes again, and the Fergals all did it. So positive news for you. You have never been part of that until this time. So now you have your turn as well. Just high scoring around the league, except for one person.
Except for one.
One.
Was that? I mean, we'll get to it. I want to ask what your statistic, because I can't remember who's. I know I dropped a dumper last year as far as low scoring games.
You're talking all-time low scoring?
Well, I remember last year. I think I created the record.
No, you do not have the record for the lowest scoring game.
That's outside of the tank gate.
Nope.
Really?
Because you would have that too.
Well, I mean, so in the modern era, because obviously
in the Yahoo era,
if you
you have to remember Todd in his first couple of years. In 2019, he scored 46 points in week 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that is currently the low bar. That does not include people benching or putting in all injured players.
Yeah.
Which I do not like. I actually was triggered a little bit earlier today. I was trying to go back through some stats in past years, and I came across the big old double zeros there, and I just cool down.
That was a good time.
Good times. It's a good thing we weren't on. Were we on Discord yet? We were on Facebook Messenger, I think.
Yeah, that was a Facebook Messenger era. Discord had not become a staple in our group yet.
All right. Well, should we start digging in?
Yeah, let's dig in.
Where would you like to start?
Let me think. Why don't we start with this year's biggest blowout?
Yeah.
This week's biggest blowout.
Let's go right there. The Fighting Fergals over the Bezoik Flemoids by 68.5 points. It's too bad that Josh didn't play Alex. That would have been possible record for the biggest blowout. Now I'm curious, what's the biggest blowout ever?
I'm surprised you don't have that information ready to go.
Well, I did not have it written down overall. The largest margin of victory is 2022 week 5. I beat you by 103.6 points.
You beat me by 106 points. When was this?
In week 5 of 2022.
Really? Oh, I think I remember that actually, now that you mentioned that.
I mean, that year I was scoring real high every week.
Yes.
It was that's the week I got 195 and you scored 91. So you weren't like particularly terrible. I just set the record for the highest score.
Yes, you just had an insanely high score.
So not a good week for the Bezoik Flemoids.
No.
Not the way I'm sure they were envisioning starting their season, especially of all of the team owners. I would say this one has the most bluster and faith in teams that don't necessarily look like they should on paper.
Yes.
I also see he's yet to join us for a in-depth analysis on the Chuck and Dave pod.
He
wasn't on last week. He's not on this week.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he just can't show his face. He knows what's going on. He knows what's
apparently
going on.
Not. He was in the first the post draft one.
Yes, he was. Because he was excited about his team.
Yeah. So
let's dissect his team a little bit.
Well, I did look back at last week's, what we both said about last week. We both picked Care to win. Mm-hmm. I was listening to it. I basically did not expect Josh to score over 100 points. You said you weren't quite there yet, but I was. I didn't think his team was very. You
were thinking 64 though.
I was not thinking 64. That's a rough out.
That's.
Although Kenneth Walker, that trade. Man,
that certainly worked out in his favor. I wrote that down. Without Kenneth Walker, he would have been 54 points if he had kept Harris.
Dang. Yeah, that would have been rough.
That would have been.
Well, kudos on the trade, Josh. Glad it's working out.
Even more.
The classic. I see Evan Engram is cursing yet more teams.
Ingram did not pan out. Metcalf, I was skeptical of Metcalf's ranks in the draft. Mm-hmm. I had him last year, and it didn't. Since he had Russell Wilson, he has not been the same kind of guy. Now, I'm not saying he'll be that bad all year, but I don't know that he'd be worth playing on a regular basis.
He's a tough. I remember I had him 2 years ago, and even then, felt like he wasn't performing the way he should.
He's just the classic. If he's on your bench, he might score a 10 or 12, and if you put him in, he's going to score 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'm sure Josh was seething, watching Worthy.
Yeah, he did have Worthy on the bench.
Score all that stuff on Thursday night. I'm sure that was frustrating.
The good news there is that it would not have changed the outcome.
No.
Certainly would have made him feel better to be scoring.
Yeah.
A little higher. And I thought he was bold taking Harrison. I'm not thinking Harrison's going to be terrible all year. Usually rookie receivers can come into their own, but they can take some time. And there's clearly not much chemistry there with him and Murray quite yet.
Well, and there is a little bit of tension. I did read that apparently, I don't know if this was yesterday or the day before. Basically, Kyler Murray was asked why he didn't throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., and he basically said, "It's not my job to throw the ball to him, to force feed him."
Do you think it could be because Harrison is not in Madden 2023?
Is he not?
I mean, he wasn't a player last year.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
that's right. I get it. Yeah. So I mean, Jalen Hurts basically
he did
not
fine.
Great.
Not what you would expect, but he was serviceable for quarterback. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the St. Brown was
rough.
Not what you would expect. I think the biggest receiver for the Lions was some like Rando, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, week one's so weird. And I always say, we can't overreact for week one because, there's weird, again, Worthy getting all that stuff. Look at, the running back I picked up just randomly going off and getting 22 points or whatever like that. It's not necessarily an indication of how the rest of the years is going to be. It's just the fact that
teams aren't
everything. Have not. No team has a real identity yet. So, but yeah, Josh's team definitely felt like I was looking at a 2023 version of the McRib, honestly.
Oh, them fighting words.
No. I'm not saying Josh is going to how it is. This specific.
Oh, the scoring of 64 and everybody.
This specific week was you get Kenneth Walker, who has this insane game, and then everybody else just underperforms.
Yeah.
You can't get anybody to break 5 points.
Yeah. It was a rough one. Meanwhile, on the other side, Kara. Actually, before we go to Kara, I will say this, Josh, when you come back and watch this, you did set a record. This is officially the lowest score ever in week one in the Yahoo era.
Lowest week one score.
Previously, it was held by you when in 2018 you started with a 70. So you are off that list.
Nice.
Look at that. Your year is doubly good now.
I'm breaking curses. I'm doing everything. It's nice.
Getting off the list.
Either way, Kara's team performed pretty much exactly the way you'd expect her team to perform.
She did well.
AJ Brown cooked. A-Chain, man, that was kind of an interesting one. Everyone passed him by in the draft.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he was drafted that low, was he?
I feel like he could have been somebody's keeper that I think it was Josh where I was expecting him to take A-Chain as his keeper.
But he wasn't a round 2 value.
Wasn't that round 2 value, which is what Josh was really looking for in that.
He
wanted all those round 2 values.
I think the problem with A-Chan was that you have Mostert and A-Chan, and there's another guy too, Jeff Wilson or something. Mm-hmm. And the thought is is it going to be a different guy every week? Is it going to be one guy? Is he going to stay healthy? Which even right now, it's not sure that he's going to start this week.
No.
So I think there's just some of those questions. And those are the guys you really do want to nab. So good job to her AI GM.
Yeah, her AI GM. I mean, the only low spot was I would say her tight end is where
Well, I mean, nobody's tight end. She probably 6.5 might have been the highest scoring tight end this week.
Yeah.
Because nobody had Likely, and that's the only guy that did anything. She's lucky that Tyreek Hill got out of the handcuffs in time to score 22.
Yep.
That would have been a rough start.
How did you
deal with that? I got a 0 because my guy was arrested.
That is insane.
Yeah. So you get that motivation there. I wonder if he'll do just as well when they have the salute to service week. He'll be extra motivated.
Yeah, you know.
But yeah, just about everybody on her team either met the projection or exceeded it. I mean, Stroud met it. Hill, Brown, Achane, they all exceeded it. Jacobs was kind of her weak spot, other than McBride. The kicker exceeded, and the defense basically did what she thought it would too.
Yep.
So it just all worked out. You know, things that just didn't work for her last year, even though on paper, how many times last year did we say her team looks fine? And it just didn't work out. And then this time it does.
Yep.
I'd say as far as the bench goes, that Jaden Daniels might be worth a look over Stroud.
Yeah. I mean,
he played really well. That's not a nobody. It's not like an elite team, but it's not.
No.
He's going to run a lot because he's going to panic and his team sucks. So he's going to be left running until he gets injured.
Other than that, yeah.
Let me see what other notes I got here. I did write the Fergals got their second highest score since the playoffs of 2022.
Really?
Yep. They only scored higher than that once last year when she got the 144 randomly against me. I did try to write down for each team something that we shouldn't overreact to and something that we should overreact to. And for this one, I said St. Brown and Harrison are going to pick it up. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be getting those points all year. For an overreaction for Josh, I put the whole team. I said I'm probably going to wait until next week before I panic full out for him. But if he has another sub 100 next week, it's going to be a long year for him, I think.
I think that might be starting to panic mode. I don't know if it's going to happen just because I think that his team still has. I think his team is better than my team was last year. And my team was pretty pathetic last year.
Sure was. I'll wait until after this week, and we'll see what he gets. He did pick up Dobbins. We'll see if that helps him out there. We'll talk about that when we talk more about next week. For Kara, I said Aaron Jones is not going to be playing the Giants every week.
No.
So I don't know that he's going to be a slam dunk like that. But to overreact for her, I would say that the Hill-Achane combo is going to be brutal to face. And I wrote a special congratulations to Jordan, who drew Kara on the bye week for Miami.
You got a pretty good chance, Jordan.
Take her down while you have a chance.
You have a chance. Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I mean, the only problem with that, and what we find when people get tandem players, is you live by the team, you die by the team. So if all of a sudden they have a really dud game,
I think more often than not, the Dolphins are going to have decent offensive numbers.
Yeah, probably more often than not. Really, if you think about it, they only scored 20 points, and Tyreek Hill and Achane still got 40 points.
Well, they're doing a lot of short stuff.
Yep,
a lot of passes that didn't end the game.
Yep.
All right, so the Fergals get to start 1-0. The Flemoids waiting on that first win.
Yep.
Where to next?
Let's do the most surprising of them all, the Appalachian White Lightning versus the Lamb of God.
I would agree. Very surprising, and in multiple ways. I think Jordan pulling off a 130 essentially exceeded expectations by a lot. Like for a guy that had no high draft picks, that's that team looks really good right now.
Well, and you look at his bench, like he had 2 guys that could have been startable.
Mm-hmm.
You throw Ramondre Stevenson, which congratulations, Jordan. He was on my team for 2 years straight and did absolutely nothing. And now he's finally doing something for you.
To be fair, that's the Patriots, right? And the Patriots caught the Bengals on a very flat-footed day.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think every defense is going to be. Well, welcome, Petrulitar. And I assume Moss is the other one. He has a lot of running backs to play with. He's got Montgomery, he's got White, he's got Stevenson, he's got Moss. Like he's got more running backs than he probably knows what to do with.
Yeah.
Which is surprising how he got that much, I guess. He played Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson again last year. I think I remember he was one of my trades. I traded Lamar Jackson to my dad because he was completely worthless for me. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he's going to put up almost 30 every week.
I traded him for a 7th round pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll depend. He had a lot of passing yards.
Yep.
He didn't even have a rushing touchdown, though, to get the 27. It's all, I mean, he got 12 points on rushing, but yeah, I mean, his team looks solid. I think that this is probably the ceiling for the Appalachian White Lightning. So I just don't think they're going to be scoring 130 every week.
Yeah.
But they might. I don't know. It just the running back situation is good. The quarterback is good. The wide receivers are the weakest. But this week it worked out. Diggs got him 20 points. I don't see Diggs getting 20. I think that the Texans are going to have a hot hand situation where it's one week it's going to be Diggs, some week it's Collins, one week it's Dell. You just don't really know who it's going to be.
Yep.
Depending on it. But maybe it'll end up being a Diggs situation there. With obviously Jaden Reed is not going to be getting 30 points for the next several weeks at least.
Well, I mean, if you look at Jordan Love's injury report, they're saying that that they want him to play in it this week. So
this week, even that just seems
bold. They said the door is wide open for him to play, which seems ridiculous. I don't
want him to get worse. Like I'd rather lose week 2 and have him the rest of the season.
I mean, I agree, but they know
the inside stuff. They have a better idea.
Yeah,
we'll trust.
It was a level 1 sprain, so it pretty much means that like it's the lowest knee sprain you can possibly have.
I did hear that they called his mom in, and she came and gave it a kiss.
That's I heard is the magic touch.
The magic touch. So boo boo, all healed.
Yeah.
So how about the other side? The Lamb of God.
Jeez-a-loo.
Just on fire. What a way to come out of the gate. He was darn close. His projection at one point was up to 185. Still 10 away from my all-time record. I just got to throw that out there. But week 1, maybe he'll be a threat to break that record.
I think this is about the ceiling. Like this is not going to happen again.
So what? You're
Alex, enjoy the points.
Telling me that you don't think 60 points on special teams is going to be a viable strategy?
I mean, yeah.
He basically outscored Josh on kicking and defense alone.
Yep. I mean, when Chris Boswell, Chicago's defense is not going to be playing Will Levis.
And I assume at some point the Steelers will get a touchdown.
Yes.
Or punt instead of just kicking field goals.
Yes.
6 times. But, ride it while it's high. Here's what I wrote as the lead for this one. I wrote, strong showing shattered by fantasy god Justice.
What does that mean?
Means that AWOL had a strong showing and they were shattered.
Oh, nice. I like it. it.
The White Lightning. This is the most points they've scored in week 1 in the Yahoo era. And yet they still managed to preserve a perfect 0-7. Going against the one team that was going to play them. That's just unfortunate. I would always rather go against someone 170 in a Josh week than to have like
there's no way I'm gonna win. It doesn't matter.
Because it's like if I could have beaten pretty much anybody else and I just happened to draw the bad hand, that sucks.
It does.
What else did I wrote here? The Lambs. Okay, nobody ever scored that high last year. Last year actually was really weak. I think the highest score ever last year was only in the 150s.
Yep.
So maybe this is a sign of a big year. Maybe it'll kind of regress to the mean. Sometimes you just hit the jackpot. And apparently he did that in all of his fantasy leagues.
Yeah, apparently he had a 150 in his other one. So
I mean, even his bench, he still had Pollard and Ford chugging along. Like another one, it's like apparently there's just so many viable running backs this year. I don't get it. Mixon, Henry, Ford, Pollard there. It's a strong lineup there. So congratulations. 1-0. And Jordan is still yet to beat Alex.
Yep. Yeah, it was good. Good showing. Enjoy the points. But yeah, your Chicago defense, can't imagine they're going to be scoring 27 points for you every single time. Houston's going to be tough. Chris
Honestly,
Boswell.
I feel like NFL was so invested in like the Caleb Williams hero story that they threw them the biggest bone possible with the Titans.
I mean, it had to be like they could not. I mean, he didn't.
Caleb Williams didn't do anything.
No, he didn't. He had a horrible showing overall.
But they're like
you couldn't even call him a game manager. But
they were winning in spite of him. I mean, I guess they were giving him the Giants, like the Vikings.
Yeah, I know Alex said he's hoping for more points from Henry. Honestly, I think Henry was one of the most overrated players in the draft this year.
I mean, even after the game, there was the quote from John Harbaugh saying that they don't want to give him 30 touches a week. They want him to just be sharing it with people. Honestly,
did he say that?
Yeah, he did. He said that they did not bring in Henry to be a 30 touch a week bell cow. They brought him in to be a complimentary piece. Honestly, they want Lamar Jackson to have the ball.
That is true. They just want Lamar Jackson to run all.
They want him either throwing it or running it, but then put Henry in there enough that you don't know if Jackson's going to run with it. So I don't know that Henry is going to end up putting up huge numbers. I'm sure there will be some games that he does, but I don't. And he's never been a massive catch back, receiving back. So, but I don't think you have a huge issue there, Alex.
Nope.
And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Richardson's going to be putting up 30 points?
I mean, he did well. I don't think so. But again, it's all week
Texans
one.
Are tough, and he got it.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's see what he does against Green Bay.
Green Bay
does very bad against rushing quarterbacks, so he could put up a 90.
I don't think Mike Evans is going to put up 20 points every week, and I don't think Joe Mixon is going to be.
Honestly, CeeDee Lamb disappointed a little bit.
Yeah. Especially with 33 points, and he only comes away with 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of rough.
Yep.
And but George Kittle, obviously.
Even the bad things get hidden when you win.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, what's next?
All right. We will start. We'll leave the nail biter till the end, and not just because it's my game, but.
I guess for the last one.
Let's do the Blue Golds versus the Puffins.
All right. I'll tell you what, tight matchup.
Mm-hmm.
It looked solid. I was feeling very, very confident for most of the weekend. And then all of a sudden I wasn't. It just wasn't panning out, I guess. I don't know. Christian Kirk, Nakua got injured.
Yeah, the keeper curse, man. It says only 4 more. May miss more than 4 games. They don't know.
Well, he's going to miss at least 4. Yeah. Kirk, that's probably the only game I'll start him. I don't even care where they rank him from now on. I thought maybe against the Dolphins, but I think Trevor Lawrence is just not that good. And the Jaguars are not that good. And it's not going to matter. It's not like Miami has this vaunted defense.
Yeah, Devontae Smith might be.
Devontae Smith would have certainly been a lot better. He would have won me the game. Laporta, obviously, getting not very much love there. Murray really disappointed me, only getting 13.5.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still so close. It didn't help. The double whammy was that Nakua going down made Kupp get so many more points.
Mm-hmm.
and he went off with 26, and that's essentially what propped the Bulldogs up to anything.
Yep.
New York, they lose a couple more points. Maybe I get the win. This is the second year in a row. What did I write here? Last year, I started week 1 with a loss, low points, but also very, very close to Josh. And this week I start with a loss, low points, very, very close to Todd. But last year I sat here and I basically said my team is trash and I wanted to destroy them all and get new players. And then I ended up doing pretty well. So I'm not panicking this year after week 1. I think it was just one of those games. Honestly, I wrote down, I feel like 93 is probably close to my floor. That's what I'm feeling with this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were good. I mean, it didn't help. Your bench didn't help you out. Like, I was like looking, I'm like, maybe if you put Devontae Smith in there for Christian Kirk, obviously you win this game. But like both of your guys' benches, you pretty much had like.
Well, he had Godwin, but yeah.
One of your most ideal matchups. Yeah, it was it's kind of an interesting close game though.
Yeah.
Was it pretty much completed after Sunday? Like, were you just hoping that New York might
I didn't
lose?
have anybody in Monday. He had Wilson and the Jets defense.
Okay, so he needed Wilson to do a little more poorly, and
the Jets defense
to
pretty much
to give away some more points. I mean, 2 points is it's pretty hard to get negative points.
Yeah. Defense. No, it was going to be hard. I would have needed Wilson to really not do much of anything, which apparently he's one of the only people that Rodgers throws to. So
it is
classic Rodgers. Alex has Cup in his brother's league as well. No, he has Cup. He doesn't have Cup in this one. I feel like all I hear from Alex is how any league he's in is just apparently 100% studs.
Yes.
He's be like, oh yeah, I had Likely in my cousin's league. Yep. I have Richardson in 4 of my leagues with my colleagues.
All right.
The Harris thing. Had he kept Walker, this is also not a competition.
Yeah, that's true.
You would have beaten.
That helped.
A couple more stats here. I got stats. Let me see here. Let me see. Okay, overreactions. I think that Cup is going to be a pretty good monster the next few weeks.
Yep.
Without Nakua there to steal things from him. However, I think that Harris is pretty much what Harris is. I think he got what he wanted there in Harris. He's going to get you like 8 points. And I think Kincaid is going to have troubles. I don't think he's going to get 1.5 every week, but I don't think he's going to really lift him anywhere. For me, I'm a little worried about Murray. He's going to have to do some rushing. 57 rushing yards is not. But he was playing Buffalo, so I'll give him another week to try to build it up here. Christian Kirk is Christian Kirk. You told me that.
Christian Kirk,
the Taysom Hill of.
He has so much like potential, and Yahoo loves him too. He's always 10, 11 points, and it's just like, well, he gets like 3. But he's like the wide receiver number 1 there.
Yeah, he's a
wide receiver 1 that doesn't really behave like one. So
I mean, he only had 4 targets too. It's like, what's going on here, man?
Jacksonville's just not that good. I mean, you said it post draft where you're just like, you got to stay away from bad teams.
Yeah. I mean, there's still some hope with Lawrence that maybe he was going to be, but he's your classic top pick who just doesn't pan out.
Yep.
But gets paid a lot.
Yep.
All right. So that is week 1. Another sad thing is that my mascot is now surrounded by a gold ring, which is unfortunate.
Ooh.
7 points away from hopefully getting back to platinum. I think it's going to be hard to maintain platinum this year.
Well, we still got to do my game.
Oh gosh, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
The nail biter of that shouldn't have been close. I mean at one time, I think at One point on Sunday, the projections were like 140 to 93 or something like that.
Yeah, there was a time where it looked pretty bad for Sam. But the projection was only off, but was only 1 point difference. I guess they nailed that pretty well.
Yeah.
I named the headline for this one, "The Draft King almost out FanDueled."
Oh, I like it. That's good.
I might refer to you as the Draft Kings throughout the year.
Draft Kings. That's what I should have named my team.
Draft Kings. That would have been good this year.
Well,
but that would have been more Burger King-y.
Yeah, I could have done the Draft Burger Kings.
The Draft Burger Kings. I like that. Oh, that's too bad. In 2 years after you have another bad year and get all the first-round picks.
Yeah.
We'll pick that up. So for Sam here, Josh Allen, 30 points. Good things there.
Still but also, riding Josh Allen all the way to the.
But his kicker getting almost 30 points too.
Yep,
he's got a solid kicker there.
Jeez, Alou.
193 field goal yards.
Yeah.
You made a miracle save after the McCaffrey disaster. When I saw that happen,
man,
I almost jumped on Discord and was like, "Whoa!" And then I was like, "I want to see if Dave notices."
So I got a notification on Yahoo that said, "Christian, you have a player who's out in your lineup."
Oh, it gives you a notification?
Yeah. And so I went and I'm like, Christian McCaffrey was ruled out. And I'm like, that's insane. So now I'm like, okay, do I just ride it and hope that Sam, because I still had a pretty good buffer, but I was like, do I just ride it out and just be like, well, I've been dealt the hand that I've been dealt. And then I'm like, I wonder who his backup is. And so I ran to Yahoo, clicked on, well, first of all, clicked on Christian McCaffrey, and it said, with Christian McCaffrey out, Jordan Morgan's going to get or Jordan Mason is going to get the majority of the snaps. And so I was like, okay, I doubt anyone drafted Jordan Mason, the backup running back for San Francisco.
Correct.
And so I quick grabbed him. I don't want to get rid of anybody. My team's like, there's not really anybody for me. Tank Dell was kind of a droppable, but like, I'm just like,
and even then anybody anyway, because they already played.
Yeah, I can't drop anybody. So I had to quick throw McCaffrey into IR, which was thankful that they allowed me to
do that midweek. Like once the games had started, I didn't know you could, like, as anytime a player goes out, you can just shift him down there. And that's
I threw him into IR and I picked up Jason or whatever Jordan Mason, and then it was just praying that somehow he scored enough points more than the two other guys.
And he sure did.
Yeah.
He sure did. He showed up. I mean, the Jets defense, I think, was very surprisingly weak.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, the 49ers, very strong offense. They have pretty much exclusively first-team All-Pros lining up there. So it's going to be tough for anybody. But, man, how much have we heard about this vaunted Jets defense? Was supposed to be amazing, and they sure just carved through them like they were hot butter.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like McCaffrey's probably going to be out this week, too.
Well, it's good because that means I get to have – he was limited in practice today.
I read an article where they said that he was at a point where had it been a playoff game, he would have been put in. But because it's just week 1 and they are obviously aiming for January, they needed to save him.
Well,
I did hear when I was listening to Pro Football America or whatever on Monday, Tuesday, they were talking about the implications of the NFL being so tight with gambling anymore, and how they with gambling, and how the 49ers basically knew they weren't going to start McCaffrey, I guess, as early as Friday. It sounds like in the post game when they talked to Jordan Moore, whatever the guy's name is that you picked up,
Jordan Mason.
That he said he was going to. They told him basically on Friday that he was probably going to start. And so the implications of people who had money riding on this game, and then all of a sudden, just an hour beforehand or whatever, are left hanging. Now, the 49ers still ended up winning. I don't think there was any sort of massive things on this one, but,
It could be.
It could be. And so obviously teams don't want to necessarily show their hand and be like, this guy's going to be out for sure. But when you have people betting money on it, it becomes a little bit more of a factor.
Yep.
Things. So,
well, so if that game was at all close, if the Jets had been even maybe a touchdown closer, I think I lose this game because they had stopped throwing to the 49ers stopped throwing it. So Debo wasn't getting any more points, and the Jets had to stop running it. So Breece Hall wasn't getting too much. Mm-hmm. And once they took Aaron Rodgers out, it was done.
Yeah, it doubly worked in your favor, but had it gone the other way, it would have been the opposite. The Jets could have run more, and Samuel would have been getting
had to be throwing more, or even if it was like down to like within a touchdown.
Yeah, one more touchdown.
The 49ers probably wouldn't have run it as much and would have had to pass more. So I mean there's definitely a little bit of luck there. It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I mean your 20 from the Dallas D is picking up.
I think Josh, now if I was going to take some overreactions, Josh being wrong a little bit about Justin Jefferson being a dud because he doesn't have a quarterback.
Well, come on. They were still playing the Giants.
They were playing the Giants.
It's still Sam Darnold.
It is Sam Darnold.
But he hit his projection.
Man, oh man, does Saquon Barkley play a lot better in a green jersey than a blue jersey?
He, I think, is going to be big for you this year. Barring anything. I think him and McCaffrey is going to be a tough out.
Yeah.
A tough out.
I don't think I'm gonna ride Dallas defense for 20 points every game.
Not every game, but they certainly could do it any game. Kelsey is not going to be a 4 every game. Drake London is probably your only weak spot because it seems like Cousins is a little bit rusty, but he was against Olave, who also didn't do anything. So it kind of honestly, every position is pretty even. The only ones that you guys like were different on was he really beat you in quarterback. You really beat him in RB1, and then you guys kind of swapped kicker and defense.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much what it came down to was the difference in Breece
Hall.
If
I'm looking at bench, my bench did a lot better than his bench.
You beat Josh on your bench.
I beat Josh on my bench. My bench is deep. I got a deep team this year, so
something you're not used to. Are you going to be able to manage it?
I don't know. I don't know how to deal with this, man. I'm like a guy who won the lottery. I'm going to blow it all right away. And
you get a couple weeks into this and all these high-end personalities start wanting the best. How do you I don't know what to do.
Does anybody want to trade, guys? I mean, I'll trade draft picks for like Alvin Kamara, Connor.
You should
really hankered for a running back.
Right now, you should be taking your depth and getting people who are desperate after the first couple of weeks.
Josh, running back. You need a running back.
Running back. Honestly, there are so many running backs on people's benches right now that could end up being a major factor in this season. Is people having high-scoring running backs just wasting away on their benches?
Yeah,
which would be sad.
But that was fun. It was
a fun
win.
1-0 for you, 0-1 for Sam.
Yeah.
So we got 4 teams, obviously, that are undefeated. We got 4 teams that are winless. That'll change next week.
That will change.
Next week, we have essentially a half rivalry week.
Yep.
We have.
This is technically rivalry week. This is rivalry week, right?
It is not. Only 2 of the matchups are the rivals.
Oh, really? Yeah, because it's
me and Alex and you and Kara.
Okay.
But the other 4 are not. However, every single matchup did play against each other in last year's playoffs.
Really?
Yes. So we've got some bad blood between some of us, I suppose. We have 2 0-1 teams against each other and 2 1-0 teams against each other. So we know for sure we'll have an undefeated team and a winless team coming out of week 2 here. Let's take a quick look at what we did on the waivers.
Yeah, let's do waivers.
Because week 1 waivers is always a little bit more interesting. I got to say, Jordan is currently leading the way. He's got 5 moves.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. He has the most to gain from waivers.
Yeah, he certainly does. I think before I forget, I think there was a record that was broken. What was the record that was broken? I gotta think about it here. Let me look real quick. I don't remember what it was. I'll have to look at it later, I guess. Oh, it wasn't broken. It was just that Lamb of God tied the all-time record for most field goals, which I kind of mentioned.
Oh yeah,
in the thing there. A couple of interesting facts here. The Bezoik Flemoids only had 57 receiving yards total on their team.
that's crazy.
So
that is crazy.
Not what you want to be having.
That is insane. Oh my gosh, Josh, I'm so sorry. I'm glad you get to feel my pain a little bit because
he was tied with your dad for the least points in defense. He had the least points in kicker. He had the least points in total offense.
Oh my gosh.
However, he had the most points of exclusively waiver players because he was basically the only one that had one in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, nice.
So he did have that bright light there.
Oh, that's good.
All right. So last week we had our first waivers here, and the people that came out with stuff, we had obviously Josh taking out Devin Singletary and putting in J.K. Dobbins. Thoughts?
J.K. Dobbins we were talking about this before we got on. Very surprising that he wasn't drafted, but I think it was because of the injury. I hesitate to drop Devin Singletary right away because they kind of got down so fast that he was pretty much in the Giants. Although, again, following what we keep repeating, sometimes even good players on bad teams just are not going to be very good.
Yeah. I mean, if he's going to bounce back, he's got Washington's defense next week.
Now, I think J.K. Dobbins is a really good running back. I think that's a good pickup. It's definitely the definition of point chasing. You just pick the one of the best running backs on the bench or on the waivers.
I do think he has pretty good upside, though. I think
he's on a good team. The Chargers should be an overall.
Jim Harbaugh is going to run a lot. The Chargers don't really have a lot of.
The Chargers should be in a. They're not gonna probably win the Super Bowl, but they're good enough to be in the mix. They do have to play the Chiefs twice, which kind of hurt sometimes because if the Chiefs get up ahead, that could hurt his running back. But I mean, I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be good as long as he can stay healthy.
It's definitely. I think Dobbins is going to help his team overall. So then I dropped my New Orleans defense and picked up the Chargers defense, sticking with the Chargers here. I'm streaming against the Panthers. The Saints did well against them. I think the Panthers look absolutely dreadful.
Yes, they will be.
And the Chargers did pretty well last week on defense too. So I think that'll be decent.
Yep.
We'll see.
I agree.
Not anything. Then I dropped Pat Fryermuth for Isaiah Likely, which I was shocked to get as it was my third one. I didn't think I'd get that. I thought somebody else for sure was going to go for him. So it's how bad the tight ends did. I don't know if he's going to be great, but I wanted to stash him as potential trade bait for somebody who's languished tight end heck later. Or if Laporta ends up not turning. Now, I don't know. Maybe next week he ends up being the dud and Mark Andrews takes over. One of the beauties of week one is we really don't know.
Yeah.
How that's going to go. And of course, if this next week Andrews does better, then you go into week 3 with another question of well, is this going to be a hot hand kind of thing? You just don't know. The only time we finally know is when it's all over and it doesn't matter. And then the only other one was the Appalachian White Lightning dropped Chuba Hubbard. Was it Chuba?
I think it's Chuba Hubbard.
Hubbard for Jameson Williams. Now that I thought was very much point chasing.
Yep.
As much as people don't know about point chasing, I don't know that he's going to be I don't know. He's not going to be their number one wide receiver.
No. Although never know if he might not be their number one, but if Amon-Ra St. Brown is covered because they're doubling him every single time.
That's true.
Jameson Williams might be your kind of Alan Lazard type guy who's just getting points because he's the only one open.
It could be. I hesitate to compare anybody to Alan Lazard.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he'll be terrible. He's not going to be scoring 20 each week, but he could be someone who puts up 8, 9, 10 points.
Yeah.
I think he's going to depend on touchdowns, if he can get the touchdowns or not.
Mm-hmm.
Which he did this time. 121 yards. That's pretty crazy. And then later we had, looks like the Blue Golds did still try to address their tight end position by picking up Tucker Kraft.
In the opposite of point chasing, point fleeing.
Point fleeing.
That sounds like my dad thinks Tucker Kraft, because Green Bay Packer, he's a Packer fan, thinks Tucker Kraft's going to be kind of doing well. He did have a couple of really good catches on the game.
2 receptions for 37 yards.
Not awesome, but like he did have a couple of really nice catches. Unfortunately, the Packers just are not really a tight end team.
They used to be.
And they're a tight end by committee team.
Yeah, because you got Musgrave. Although, is Musgrave injured?
He might be injured.
He didn't have a single catch. I don't know. That's what it says about Musgrave.
So it says so this is the advice that says while Kraft's stat line looks disappointing on the surface, his stock is on the rise after this game. Kraft drew the start and played ahead of Luke Musgrave despite entering the game as questionable because of a back issue. He ran more routes than Musgrave and saw one more target than him. Musgrave failed to catch either of his 2 looks. And then obviously left this game early with a possible ankle injury, blah, 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 blah. So they're thinking that Tucker Kraft's going to be like the TE1 guy over Luke Musgrave. So I don't know if he's reading into that or if he's actually...
it is interesting because he took a guy that scored 8 points and traded him out for a guy that scored 3 points.
Yep.
But I think Brock Bowers is going to fall into that. Doesn't really matter how good he is. He's on a bad team.
Yep, that is true.
And tight ends are going to suffer a lot more.
Well, and you're sitting there trying to catch balls against Devontae Adams. It's like, I know you're totally different positions, but most of the time Devontae Adams is going to be catching those balls.
Yeah. Now, continuing his Packer backer ways, the Blue Golds also dropped Miami's defense. Apparently, they're thinking Green Bay is going to be doing pretty well against Richardson and co.
Apparently.
A lot of faith against the running quarterback.
I mean, I think it's a pretty fair trade.
I think we have a decent defense. It's not a terrible choice.
No, but I mean, it's like, I think Miami for Green Bay, you're talking like, I don't know, like you hope that Green Bay plays a little better than it did week 1.
I mean, Miami's going to play Buffalo, so they're probably going to do worse than the Packers.
Yes. And the Miami's defense isn't like statistically a very good defense.
There might have been better defenses for him to grab.
Yes. I mean, I think Houston could have been a better pickup for him. Jordan nabbed him. But even though Houston only scored 4 points, I think Houston has a better defense.
Yeah. And Jordan did. He traded out Cincinnati's defense for Houston's defense. Houston going against Chicago. That's got to hurt Alex a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think defenses against Chicago are going to be a good idea for the foreseeable future, perhaps.
Yes. And
then you got the ultimate point chase that got the whole conversation going.
the point chase of point chase. Now, with a draft, with how poorly, I don't think he drafted poorly, but how poor of a draft he was given with picks. I mean, it's understandable that you point chase. Josh should be doing a little bit more point chasing, I believe.
Kickers are just tough. It's hard to after 1 week say my kicker didn't do great. This kicker did amazing. It's definitely going to be that way. McPherson's a really good kicker, and he scored a lot of points last year. And I think somebody else should maybe pick him up. Now, is he going to go bonkers against Kansas City? Probably not, but then he gets Washington and Carolina and the Giants in 3 of the next 4 weeks. So,
yeah. You're hoping that the 49ers become like
a field goal team?
field goal team. Now
The
they
49ers
were a
aren't
field goal.
gonna be
They were a
playing-
field goal team against the Jets, but
They're not going to be playing a defense like that. They got Minnesota and the Rams, New England, Arizona. These are teams they'll be scoring touchdowns on.
yeah.
But we will see. I will eat crow if he puts up another 30.
And you just picked up Tua, I'm assuming, because you put.
I had an open position after moving Nakua
Puka to
to the
IR.
bench, and I'm a little nervous about Murray, and so I was like, I think Tua might be better than Murray overall. We'll see. I'm not going to maybe start him this week. I'm going to give Murray some more time to hopefully do a good.
Sit behind his quarterback, learn a little bit, learn the team a little bit. We got to learn the stud puffin ways.
Got to learn the stud puffin ways for sure. A couple weeks in, Murray's still not doing well. Tua's still putting up, 20s. Then we switch.
Yep.
Yeah, if I like what I see in practice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look ahead.
Let's do.
Which matchup do you want to start with?
Let's start off with. I'm just gonna go down the line on my pick'ems. By the way, I will.
Review us.
Yeah. So, 3 people scored 3 and 1. That was the top one. That's you. You got me, Kara, and Alex right. It looks like Alex got me, Kara, and himself correct as well, and Josh got me, Alex, and Todd right. So both 3 and 1. A couple of, and then everybody else is basically 2 and 2, and then Sam's going solid, keeping with last year of 0 and 0.
And Kara
did not make a pick, so
you couldn't convince her to pick.
I told her about it. She said, "What spreadsheet?" I said, "It's pinned in the Discord." She said, "I'll see if I get around to it," and then never did.
I'm surprised you didn't just say, "I don't do Discord." Well, on the picks here, we do have we had 5 teams participate in the Pro Pick'em last week, and we had me and Todd come out with 11 and 5.
Yeah, man.
You went 9 and 7. Josh
and somehow the did you do the weighted or whatever it is where it's you rank them or whatever?
Said he got rid of that.
Oh, did he get rid of it? Thank goodness. I hope he.
It got so complicated. It was like weird.
Well,
even all last year, I was like, "What do we need these tiebreakers for?"
It makes the pro picks. Oh yeah, he did get rid of it. Thank goodness. It makes the pro pick'ems because pro pick'ems, I want to be able to do it in 5 minutes. Like, okay, I'm gonna
just go down it. I make quick. I don't.
And now it's like, okay, now I gotta rank every single one on which I think is more. I'm more confident. Like I gotta put confident points in. That's insanity.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I hope that isn't a thing because that just sounds miserable. Because then I'm just not gonna do pro pick'ems. Exactly.
It should just be straight up. Who you pick, who wins.
Yep.
There you go. There's very little chance that people tie at the end. At least for winning.
Yeah, very, very. Because with how many you have to pick, it's pretty tough.
All right. So which one's your first one on your pick'em?
Let's do Josh and Todd.
All right. The lowest scoring versus the lowest scoring winner. All right, let me see what I've got written down over here. All right, last year these teams went 1 and 1 in the regular seasons, and the Bulldogs took out the Jackals in the first week of the playoffs.
Ooh,
it's the Walker versus Harris grudge match.
Yeah, we get to see.
They're even lined up in the same row.
First trade. Lined up so we can kind of see who wins out on the trade.
I'll tell you what, a projection of Harris for 11 is optimistic against any team.
That is optimistic. Very optimistic.
Let's see what I wrote here. I am not optimistic on Josh.
No.
Now he's got.
I think that his team. I think 7 points is about 7.58 points is about 7 points too many for Evan Ingram.
Yes.
If he catches a ball.
Here's my thoughts. Does he switch out? I assume he wants to put Dobbins in. That's why he claimed him.
Yes.
But does he switch out Harrison and just wait and see on Harrison? Does he switch out Neighbors maybe, or put Worthy in for Neighbors and swap out Harrison with Dobbins? That might be smart.
Yeah.
The projection points might not be that different. In fact, Neighbors is projected more, but gosh, one plays with Daniel Jones and one plays with Patrick Mahomes. I feel like I know who I would take.
The guy who can throw the ball.
Yeah. And Harrison, I mean, maybe he does put up 20 or whatever, and Murray remembers that he's on the team. But, I mean, he picked up Dobbins for a reason, and I don't see him replacing Taylor or Walker.
No.
With him. So I just don't think Josh's team is set. But neither of those is really going to inspire so much confidence because he's still got Engram. I mean, Koo is going to be Koo. Atlanta needs to be able to move the ball more to get there. I don't like Cleveland's defense, even against Jacksonville. They don't seem to be.
I would probably consider getting a different defense if I were Josh.
Yeah.
I'm actually not a fan of the Jets defense, how they worked. If I was my dad, I'd be maybe swapping out Green Bay's.
They are playing the team that the Bears just got almost 30 against.
Yep.
It's their turn to take on Will Levis.
That is true.
You know, Titans are probably wishing they had Malik Willis.
Oh. So who do you got? Who do you got here?
Well, I'm not done looking at the Blue Golds here.
Okay.
Blue Golds just look solid. Now they obviously very much underperformed last week, but the team just looks pretty solid this week with matchups and that. Now he picked up the Green Bay defense. I assume he's going to replace the Jets with that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would he have? I don't know if he's going to replace Kincaid with Kraft. I'm not sure he'll get a huge difference there. He's got Caleb Williams. Why?
I must. I don't know.
Developmental project there.
6 fantasy points last year.
I have a lot more faith in the Blue Gold, so I'm going to pick them.
I am also going to pick them mainly because Cooper Kupp is now going to be getting a majority of the targets.
I think Kupp's projection should be higher than 16.
Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. I think Patrick Mahomes, even though statistically he hasn't been the huge point getter that I think Patrick Mahomes is still good. Garrett Wilson, I mean, hey, Aaron made it out of week 1, so maybe Garrett Wilson starts to play a little better now.
I would assume Brown will do better as well.
Isaiah Pacheco, obviously still good. Jamar Chase.
The only thing that I really see where I'm like, I think that Josh's team has the advantage would be Walker over Harris. Obviously.
Yeah.
Possibly St. Brown over Wilson. I think he definitely, if he wants to be in contention, I think he has to put Dobbins and Worthy in.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins has to start next week, and I'm assuming he will.
Some stuff there, but
so again, Josh, this isn't against you in any way, but I see a lot of my team last year in your team where it's just like I have such mediocre players, and it's like any one of them could score 15 points, and any one of them could also score 2. And it's just like you have to take a shot and hope and cross your fingers that somebody plays well. But it's going to be hard to your players are going to consistently play well. So he's going to probably do a lot better job of scouring the waiver wire than I did last year because I'm just not.
He'll have the first choice once again.
My ear's just not to the ground as much as you guys are. So like a lot of times I just miss out on some of those like players. So Josh is going to be a little better at reading that. So I think he'll end up being a lot better than I will. But like right now, as your team looks, Josh, it looks like McRibbed for her pleasure last year.
There's some work to do here.
So yeah, I will also be picking my dad.
Anybody else have any picks in yet?
Yeah, Jordan just put his pick in. He also picked Todd.
That's unanimous so far.
So far, so good. Wow, he picked against himself. for the next game, we
All
will
right.
go with the Appalachian White Lightning and the Stopple Nincompoops, the battle to see who will be the bottom.
Yes, somebody's going to leave this one 0-2. And honestly, for two teams that just scored 130, that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
They very easily could score high again, and someone will be 0-2.
Yeah.
But that's just the way the cookie crumbles in fantasy. It's as much who you get luck of the draw with. Yep. Last year, they went 1-1 against each other, and then obviously on his way to the championship, the White Lightning took out the Ninnies in round 1 of the playoffs. Interesting stat. Even though Jordan is 0-7 in week 1, he is 5-1 in week 2. And in fact, he has not lost a week 2 since 2018.
Whoa.
So he bounces back well traditionally.
All right.
To get the year.
This might change my pick a little bit.
We got 2 high-scoring losses. One gets to avenge it. Josh Jordan's been very active in waivers. I would honestly bump his projection up to probably closer to 115.
Yeah, his projection is very low.
I think, I would maybe a couple points here and there to everybody, but the only one I look at on his roster where I'm like, these guys are pretty sure probably not. Ayuk is a bit of a liability, but Reed, I think, is going to take a hit.
Yeah, probably.
Especially
if Love does not start, it's going to hurt.
But he's got a lot of, he's got running backs out the wazoo. He benched Montgomery.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I
would maybe consider throwing him over Rachaad White, but
especially, Stevenson against Seattle, I don't know that he's going to be as hot.
True.
Or maybe even put Montgomery in as the flex over Reed. I don't know.
I would maybe bump Reed up to Ayuk and take Ayuk out. Brandon Ayuk struggled. Brandon Ayuk dropped like two or three passes. Mm-hmm. He dropped an easy touchdown.
Now he did pick up Jameson Williams. Is he going to put him in? Is he going to replace Ayuk with him or Reed with him?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. He's got some what ifs there. Meanwhile, Sam's got a very solid looking team. Again, it's the same guys. Hopefully, Olave is kind of a question mark right now. Mark Andrews is certainly a question mark. But when I go down the list here, I would say the quarterbacks are tied. I would say Ayuk and Olave are probably tied. I'm
not going to win the league. I'm going to win pick'ems.
Who said that?
Jordan.
He's already given up on the league?
No, I don't think so. He's just joking. But
well, I'd probably give an edge to Samuel over Diggs. I'd give it to Hall over White for sure. I think I'd take Gibbs over Stevenson. The only thing I see really where I'm like, I think this lean towards Jordan is, I don't know. None of them really scream it to me. I think it's going to be a pretty even match. It could be like a 125 to 123.
If Jake Moody scores another 30 points.
It might come down to the kickers. So
I will say, Jordan, I think you should swap out Montgomery and Stevenson just because I want to see right in line Jahmyr Gibbs versus David Montgomery. Who will prevail?
That'd be perfect. Give us a little case study here.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the Nincompoops. I will not be shocked by a loss from them, but I will pick the Ninnies.
You know what? I'm going to go with Jordan. He's going to be my dark horse pick for the week.
Dave sees this as a place to gain an edge on me.
I also want to just pick against. I do think Sam has an edge, but I also see Jordan has a lot of. I know, Alex, I just saw his comment. Benching Montgomery is insane. But if you look at Jordan's team, it's not as insane as you think. You think it's insane because, well, yeah, if he was starting some crazy, but he's got a pretty deep running back. And so it's like it's pretty
down to for Jordan is luck because it's very possible that whoever he puts on the bench outscores the people he has in.
Yeah. And the thing with David Montgomery and the running back by committee in Detroit is Montgomery going to be the touchdown guy that week, or is DeAndre Swift going to be the touchdown
I
guy?
think Montgomery is going to be the hot hand personally, but
he is getting older, so it's I could see him. He tends to. I feel like he has a mid-season lull, so.
Well, take him while it's still early season.
Yeah, I do agree. Jalen Reed probably not the best throwout, but he's one of the better wide receivers. He is probably the number one wide receiver right now on the Packers. And if I was Malik Willis, I'd be throwing to him a lot. And he's one of those guys where you're gonna throw these little quick passes because that's all Malik Willis is going to be doing is these little quick passes, and he's going to be throwing to Jaden Reed. And
honestly, it could be a boon for Tucker Kraft. Sometimes the check down guy becomes that tight end.
So I will pick. So I'm going to go underdog this one.
All right, take the underdog.
I did not see Montgomery on the OT drive because I did not watch every NFL game, Alex.
I don't see this game being decided by 13 points.
No. You think it'll be close?
I think it'll be closer than 13. I think it'll be within 10 for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if it's within 5.
All right, we'll do the next one on my list is Alex versus Chuck.
I did think it was interesting is commenting on Alex over here. Pretty much like, I don't know what he did on Sunday, but like during the afternoon slate, like he would like throw out, did you see this play? Oh, that play from like 5 different games. I don't know if he's just on the red zone or what, but it's like he was watching.
I think Alex has 7 TVs just in his apartment, just like streaming every NFL game.
Sunday at noon, he's just like locked in there with like his notebook and 7 TVs.
I know Alex does watch a lot of NFL because I know they tend to record their podcast. They used to at least record their podcast on Sundays, and I know that affects. I've talked to Justin about how his frustration on Alex's NFL watching habits has disrupted their podcast recording.
They got to get the pod in the off season.
Yep.
All right, which one's next?
Chuck and Alex, the playoff grudge match rivalry.
So, up till now, the last year I beat Alex in both regular season games before he defeated me in the playoffs. So he's looking for his first regular season win against me. I think this was a pretty fierce rivalry last year. I'm a little nervous after what he put up last week. Obviously, I know that could happen at any time, but it's a little scary. I would also bump up Alex's projection to closer to 115 right now. I think his is a little low. I just feel like just looking at it, maybe it should be a little higher. Maybe it's right. I don't know. Sure. When I look at it here, Richardson's kind of a wild card.
Did you see his stat line? I just read his stat line. He got 3 touchdowns. I think there were 2 passing, 1 rushing. He only completed 9 passes.
And they were bombs. They were bombs though.
Yes. 9 for 19. 9 for 19. So like 50%.
Like 50 yards or something.
So like 40% for 212 yards, which is insane. Yeah.
It was like that one wide receiver, some random new guy. I don't remember his name. He's been popping up on the waiver wires a lot. Got like all the catches that were like 50-yard bombs.
Yeah, I mean, when you're averaging 20 yards a pass, now I don't think the Packers defense is going to allow that to happen, especially because now you got scouted defenses. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be dealing with a scouted defense, with a defense that has scouted him. So I don't see him getting 33 points.
No, I don't think it's going to be 33, but I think 18 might be low.
Yeah.
I hope McGurry ends up getting at least 19. That'd be nice. It's against the Rams here. We're kind of soft against the Lions. I think Rice has the edge over Evans.
Yep.
I think Lamb is the edge over Smith. Robinson and Mixon, I would say, are probably pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation here. I think Williams has the edge over Henry. I think Laporta has the edge over Kittle. I'd give it to Collins over Pittman. Boswell is not putting up 30.
No.
I don't know that Chicago is even a good defense for him to be playing against the Texans. That's a lot of faith there. That's a lot of faith. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if he switches it because Alex is known to switch everything after we make our picks.
That is true.
So we'll see what happens there. I'm pretty happy with my defensive pick, though. So overall, I like what I see. And if I had not seen him score 178 last week, I would have no hesitations. So that gives me a little bit, but I'm going to pick the Puffins to bounce back. Humble the Lamb of God.
Yeah, that is I would say it's like if he would have scored 130 with the rest of us, I think I would probably be like, no question, I'd be picking your team. I'm like, I think Chuck's team's better. Like, you just on paper. But, like, you're just like, holy moly, he scored 170 points last week. It kind of just gives you pause because you're like, is he going to do it? Now, granted, on a normal week, you're scoring like 20 to 25 points with your kicker and your defense, and he scored 60. So, I mean, there's an extra 35 points.
You'll let me know. I'll know. I keep tabs, but I don't ever change my picks after the pod.
Yeah, there's so little changes. I know, Alex, wasn't it last year I changed somebody out, and Alex got frustrated because I should have alerted you guys that I changed somebody out because it changed the way his picks were.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's because I changed quarterbacks.
That's a big change. That's a big change.
So it's like, but
send it out over Discord.
And I was supposed to like alert everyone that I changed it.
Where are you going? Are you going to go point chasing here?
Man, oh man, this is a tough one. This might be the toughest one this week.
I think all matchups between me and Alex are going to be tough to call.
I don't know. You go 0-2. I don't see you going 0-2. I'm gonna go with Chuck on this one. I don't. The defense kind of sways me a lot. Chicago, man. I think the Chargers are going to smoke Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if you're in like the 15-20 range of defense.
I hope so.
Harrison Butker, I think, is going to he's going to do his normal 10 to 15 points. Boswell will probably do 10 to 15. That's a wash for me. Laporta is going to do a lot more than Kittle will, especially against Minnesota. I think Kyron Williams is going to do a lot more than Derrick Henry. I still think Derrick Henry is overrated. I think his draft stock was way too high for what he was.
Yeah. Now, the bright side for Henry is that they're playing the Raiders, and they may have a decent lead where they're just running
the ball
in the second
but
half.
The problem is you're still dealing with the fact that you have a quarterback that can run the ball. You're splitting. Not only are you splitting time with your other running back, you're splitting time with your quarterback, and it's just like Derrick Henry is a running back that needs 30 carries to produce.
Really, his whole thing has been you wear down the defense by just smoking straight at him.
Yeah, he's just a big, heavy dude who's just going to run through your defense. And he needs those consistent, like, well, I know I'm only getting 1 yard. I know I'm only getting 1 yard, but I'm going to break that 30-yarder if you just keep giving me the ball. So I think 14 points is way too much. And I'm going to eat my words. But I'm going to go with you.
The stud Puffins appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So the next rivalry.
Burgles and the QPCs.
This
was quite the rivalry last year as both team owners mailed it in by week 8.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, however, turn of events, the only undefeated matchup going into week 2. So last year, you guys split 1-1 in the regular season. And then you put up the 142 and dominated in the playoffs.
Yep.
Much to your chagrin. I think this is going to be a close match. I don't think that 7 points. I don't know. When I was looking at this team here, it's tight. They look good. They both look good.
Mm-hmm.
The only weaknesses I see for her would be maybe McBride. I don't think Aaron Jones is going to do as well against San Francisco.
No, he never has.
That's really the only two that I kind of see for her. And for you, I don't have a lot of faith in Drake London. I don't know that.
I'm in heaven and Han on if I kind of want to try him out one more week.
Yeah, I get that. Prescott did not do that great last week.
No, he did not. But
we'll see what it is. But that's I think going to be an outlier for him getting a 10.
Yeah.
Mason, that's a bit of a question mark. Is he going to be able to, now that another team has seen him and they know that he's going to do that, can the Vikings put some emphasis on it? I don't know that the Vikings defense is good enough to do that. And you got your Dallas.
So the stat line he had though is like overall. So what I read about him during the game, they were spouting this off. Like he hasn't played a whole lot. He's been in the league for 2 years.
Yeah, he hadn't had a game with this many carries since like high school.
But his average yards per carry is like 7 yards per carry before this game, and it still stayed that way. So I mean, like he's an explosive running back.
Yeah,
that has been sitting behind, unfortunately, a very healthy Christian McCaffrey. So he's been very unnecessary.
Yeah, it'll just be interesting. I don't think he's going to do poorly. I just am curious if he puts up a huge number again.
Yeah.
So when I look at this and I put it together, honestly, I'm going to take the underdog and the QPCs.
Nice. You know what? I'm also going to pick the QPCs, but that's just because I believe in my team. I think
the only one we disagreed on was the AWOLs and the Ninnies.
Yep.
Once again, we only have one separate.
Drake London's scared. Like, see, the thing is like I have much more question marks than Kara. That's the only thing that kind
it's
of
possible Cousins shakes off some rust and gets some more stuff going.
With Drake London,
I don't know if the Eagles are the team. It's going to come down to that for you, though, isn't it? Monday night, it's going to be you with London and Barkley.
And AJ Brown.
She's going to have Brown. So this could be another one of those nail biters at the end.
Yeah, it could. And I might throw Love in if he's playing.
Would you take a hobbled Love over Prescott?
Yeah, probably. Because I think he'll bounce back a little better. I know Prescott was good last year, so like stats wise, he's never been like a true really stat hole, like a fantasy points black hole or anything. So I am okay putting him on, but yeah, I was thinking Jalen Waddle maybe, but I don't know. I mean, my team's pretty solid. Like do I do Amari Cooper instead of Mason?
I think you should Mason again.
What's that?
I think you should ride Mason again with it being the Vikings.
Yes, I'm just gonna try. I mean, 20 points, and he had a pretty historic game for him.
Don't be a Todd. Don't point Flea.
Don't point Flea. Yeah, both of them scored pretty comparably. James Conner I could throw in there as well, but if anything, maybe I'll replace ETN, even though he's my boy. But
boy, you got the tattoo, right?
Yeah,
right down your back.
Yeah,
it's in that fancy font. Where on the way down it's English, but if you look at it in a mirror, it's also ETN, but it's Chinese.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
The way we're looking at it is we are expecting you to come out on top 2-0 with a gaggle of 1-0s being the Fergals, one of the Ninnies or the Lightning, and me and Alex. And then 0-2s being the Flemoids and one of the Ninnies or the Lightning. That's what we're predicting. It's not fun to start 0-2.
It isn't. It's not impossible.
Not at all. Not at all. But it's not fun because then it takes at least 3 more wins to get to a winning record.
That is true. So it takes 3 weeks to get to a winning record. Now, just getting in if you can get in the dance, it's not that hard to get in the dance this year. It may have been hard for me to get in the dance. It's been really hard for me to get in the dance, but I mean, really, you get like 7-8 wins,
I think
you're pretty much in there.
I think we're going to be in for a battle for the playoffs this year. Actually,
you don't think it'll be as?
I think we'll have Josh completely out in 8th, and then we'll have someone in 7th who just barely misses out.
Just so you know, I did just update my team. So I just put in Alvin Kamara over ETN.
Okay, that's probably fine. That's fine.
Better upside. I think Alvin Kamara has more of an upside than ETN does. Again, we just talked about it. Even a good player on a bad team usually produces poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I mean, they just.
Especially when you have a running back, even if he's a great running back on a bad team, if the Jacksonville starts falling behind a Cleveland.
The problem with the Jaguars is like they're never even out there on offense, I don't think.
No, they can't get off the field.
What was Lawrence's stat line? He had it doesn't even have attempts. I don't know what his attempts were. But he didn't do that many things.
Trevor Lawrence
doesn't have attempts.
I mean, he only had 11. He had passing. Yeah, I don't see what is.
He had 162 yards, but I feel like he didn't have that many pass attempts. Even.
12 of 21.
Yeah, 12.
162, one touchdown.
And that's like Christian Kirk, the guy only threw 12 completions the whole game.
Yeah.
How do you get points off of that?
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
All right. Well, it should be an exciting week too. We should get a little more clarity from them. Hopefully we get another Monday night nail biter. The week is much more enjoyable when we go into Monday with that on our mind. I think, as long as it's not you.
Who's the game? What's the game tomorrow?
The game tomorrow is actually not that great of one, I don't think. Let me find here. Bills Dolphins. Never mind.
Yeah. It's okay.
Bills Dolphins.
Not probably one I'm going to be tuning into.
No, I mean, I'm probably not going to watch it either. But yeah, Bills Dolphins on Thursday night. Sunday night is Bears Texans. And Monday night is Falcons Eagles. So I don't see either of those ones being exactly nail biters.
Yeah, it's going to be. So one last thing. I was reading the recaps of the teams. And I know this is all AI generated, so it means nothing. But you know how they grade people? Like I got an A. Sam somehow got a C+, even though he scored 133 points. He scored 22 points over projections.
The loss is what matters.
But like Jordan got a D+, and he scored 25 points over projections. And of course, Alex gets an A+. That makes sense. Of course. But I mean, like, I would still classify Jordan's as like he's got a B. B+ at least, like D+. That's insane.
I'll say this interesting thing here. I just looked at the current projections, and Lamb of God is still projected 3-11. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be amazing to start the season with 178 points and then somehow lose 11 games.
Yeah.
I would make a T-shirt with that on it. Give it to you if you can do that, Alex. It didn't really change, but it has him and Josh both missing the playoffs at 3-11. It's given Jordan 4-10, me 6-8.
Hey, that was my thing. I said Alex and Josh.
It was the AI agrees with you so far.
The AI agrees with me so far.
It has you topping it with 11-3, but it does have Sam scoring the more points than you and getting 10-4. However, get this. Oh, never mind. It has you scoring the most points. Sorry. It does have Alex scoring more points than the next three of the people above him, even though he's below. And it currently.
This is current projection.
It has Alex. It thinks Alex is going to have a hard schedule, though. It has him having the most points against. So obviously it thinks he's going to come against even tougher opponents. So we will see. Be fun to keep checking in with that.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, good
All
luck
right.
to everybody next week, unless you are Alex.
Yeah. Good luck to everybody but my wife.
I refreshed it.
Did you hit refresh? LOL. Yes, we refreshed it, Alex. I think your strength of schedule is much
It
higher
thinks
than
that he's
everybody
going to have a
else.
brutal schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only reason his points 4 is because of the fact he scored 170 points.
Because that's in there for sure now.
Yeah, now it's in there, so it's like, well, even if you have a couple of dingers, like you scored.
Like, well, you might have.
You scored more than I did in 3 games last year.
Yeah.
Like it
You
took
might
me
have scored
3 games.
178, but I feel pretty confident you're getting a 70 next week.
It took me. It took me 3 games last year to get how many points he scored last week.
Keep digging.
I'm just excited because I increased my ranking by 6 points. I'm still on the bottom because I'm very, very far away from. I still don't know how the Blue Golds gained 15 points and I gained 6.
Partially random.
Is it random?
It has much more to do with a win than anything. I don't know. I lost 16 points.
Yeah, I think it has to do also like with like if you have consecutive
it's your last 2 years. So I think not only did you have this first game factor into it, you lost the first game from 2 years ago from factoring into it.
Oh, really? Is that how it goes?
And I think it's only the last 2 years, so I think it starts eliminating the older.
Because that was back when I won the league, so it's like.
No, you didn't win the league 2 years ago. I did.
Didn't I? Wasn't it 2022 that I won?
Nope. 2022 was the year I was on fire.
That was 20. Yeah, you're right.
You have two.
That was my first. That was Tank 8. So
yeah, you have 2 very bad years, and that's why you're so low.
Yeah.
So if Alex is another good year, he's a platinum candidate, which I would like to not have happen. So.
All right, folks.
Have a good night. Fun.